What if I told you that the two first jet fighters ever to see air-to-air combat against each other looked almost identical? Well, it's true. During the Korean War, both the North American F-86 Sabre and the Mikoyan MiG-15 were designed using captured technology from Germany after World War II. It's long been debated which one of these aircraft, if either, was the superior fighter. Well, I've been a huge fan of the Korean War since my grandfather served in it, and I've watched a lot of documentaries and read a lot about these two aircraft. And I have to say, the F-86 was the better aircraft, not only because of what it was designed to do, but also because of how it was upgraded during its operational history in the war. The first aircraft to actually make it off the ground was the MiG-15. The Russians built the MiG-15 as an interceptor. This is an aircraft meant to shoot down bombers, and the one they were really worried about was the B-29, the superfortress which dropped the nukes on Japan. The Soviet Union didn't want the United States having the ability to drop nuclear bombs on them. So they built a small, lightweight, very powerful jet fighter to go up to the altitude of the bombers and shoot them down very quickly. On the other hand, the North American Sabre was an air superiority fighter. It was a fighter meant to go up into an airspace and lock it down, own the airspace, shoot down any other aircraft that dare fly, whether it's another fighter, another bomber, a ground attack aircraft, a helicopter, a troop transport. If it flies, it dies. The F-86 was meant to be king. Because of this, the MiG-15 was always operating in a place it was never really designed for. The United States didn't use nuclear weapons during the Korean War. They also didn't use the large-scale bomber formations that they used in the Second World War. So the MiG was always outside of its element, whereas the F-86 was always in its element. Both of these aircraft received a lot of upgrades throughout the war. But the big one on the Russian side was known as the MiG-15 BIS. BIS was short for Bison. It was just the way that the Russians named it. The really important difference between the original MiG-15 and the MiG-15 BIS was a more powerful engine. Unfortunately, the MiG-15 always had a more powerful engine than the Sabre did. So adding an even more powerful engine didn't really do much. The aircraft still suffered from all of its original problems, which were mainly production-based. The wings were regularly misshapen, panels on the fuselage didn't fit together properly, and the very powerful guns that were meant to grant easy kills, they were regularly misaligned from the factory. Meaning, even if the Russian pilots got the right shots, they might not hit what they were shooting at. Compare this to the Sabre. The Sabre's upgrades included a more powerful engine, but it actually did need that. It also included removing certain elements from the airplane that weren't working properly in the first iterations. And the biggest one was the radar-mounted gyroscopic gun sight. This was a reticle finder in the cockpit that could help a pilot calculate a lead to shoot on an enemy plane. It meant that during extreme maneuvers, American pilots could get shots on Russian pilots that Russian pilots couldn't cope to get. Either way you look at it, the American Sabre dominated. It was a better plane. The MiG performed well and should be respected for that. But there was no denying who was the king of the skies. It was the Sabre. Thank you for watching.